Good morning, everyone. We're going to start by a quick introduction of all the talent here with us. They are not around the table. They are right here with us. We got the actor Clifton Collins here. We got Matt Gomez-Idaka. Amelie Offaly. And the producer, Lars Knudsen. And the master of DP, Darius Konji. And at the table here with us, we got over there at the end of the table, Luke Grimes. Austin Butler. Emma Stone. Next to me, we have Michael Ward. Pedro Pascal. Joaquin Phoenix. And Monsieur le réalisateur, Ari Aster. All right, guys, before I open the floor to questioning, I have a question for all of you actors. It's a very simple and at the same time not that simple question. How is it to work with Harry? How is it to dive into Harry's mind? Let's start with you, Luke.
With me?
With you. Ari.
I told Ari this last night. I never felt like I knew what I was doing less than on this movie. Because anytime that I felt like I had an idea of like, oh, I think I figured this guy out, he'd go, yeah, don't do that. Okay. And clearly my job in the movie was to not know what I was doing. And he was very helpful in that way. I felt very clueless, and I think that's sort of who Guy ended up being, and that's how we found him. I had no clue what I was up to, so thanks, man. That was
Austin.
We just had a blast. I had so much fun, and from our first conversations, you know, he told me a sort of abstract thing of thinking of Vernon as the embodiment of the internet. And I just took that and ran somewhere, and we had a blast. The entire group was just a dream to work with.
Well, I've been lucky to know Ari for a few years as a friend, and so the opportunity to come and get to hang out with him in this cast and this incredible script that I loved so much, it was a pure joy. I felt very lucky.
Joaquin, how was it the second time around?
Better. No, it was better. Ari's one of the, he's a rare director that actually, he could be an actor because he just embodies what the characters are feeling in a scene. He sometimes is like pacing behind camera, saying dialogue, and it looks like what actors do. And so there are times where sometimes you just get lost. And he will come over and you'll start talking about it, and we're both acting as Joe, trying to kind of figure out this moment. And he always finds something that is interesting and specific. I love working with him.
Edward.
That's exactly what was surprising to me as well. Having been awed by some of his previous movies, I thought he would be more pretentious and like meaner somehow. I don't know why. And it was the opposite. He actually made me think of the character as more human and had a very, very empathic relationship to each take. And at one point, I remember we were happy with a scene, and then you saw me kind of hesitate, but not have the confidence to ask for another take. And you were like, do you want another one? And I was like, can I have one more? And you were like, yeah, let's do another. But I thought it was great, but if you want to do another one, I do have another note. And he literally gave me the note that I gave myself. And that was cool.
For me, the whole experience with Ari was just very collaborative, always wanting to have conversation and talk about the character, the scenes and stuff like that. And for me, that puts me at ease a lot of the time because it means that we can actually create something together. So yeah, man, a lot of it was just down to that. So I really appreciate it. Big up Ari, man.
Well, Ari, very simply too, why this movie? Why did you want to do this? And what do you hope that the audience will take from it?
Why this movie? I wrote this film in a state of fear and anxiety about the world, and I wanted to try to pull back and describe, show what it feels like to live in a world where nobody can agree on what is real anymore. And yeah, I feel like over the last 20 years, we've fallen into this age of hyper individualism, and you know, I think, you know, we've that social force that used to be kind of central in liberal mass democracies, which is an agreed upon version of the world, that is gone now, and COVID felt like the moment where that link was finally cut for good, and I wanted to make a film about just what America feels like to me, and what it felt like to me at that time, and it felt bad. You know, I think it felt bad to everybody, but it feels bad, and I'm very worried. And what do I hope people take away? I don't know. I think we need to re-engage with each other, and that's, I think, central for me. Yeah.
Got you there. I think we have a question. Rodrigo, over there.
Hi, question here from Brazil, Correio da Manhã, Rodrigo Fonseca. Question to Aster. You have one of the most amazing cinematographers on your movie, Darius Conde. I would like to hear a few words about your work with him. And if you allow me a second question, your movie brought me a memory. The initial scene of Godfather, I believe in America. Do your characters believe in America?
It's one question per person, but okay, Rodrigo.
Okay, so, well, the first question is about Darius, who's the greatest, and I love him very much. We became very close, right? I think we did, on this film, and I don't know. It's a hard thing to talk about, describe. It's kind of ineffable, but I think we see things very similarly, and it was a very, very kind of effortless, easy collaboration, and I was very surprised and humbled and gratified by how open you were and how much you gave to me, and yeah, you know, he's a master. He's worked with so many of my heroes and has made the most beautiful films. So anyway, it was an honor to work with him.
How about the Believe in America part?
Well, like I said, the film is about people living in different realities, and so I think every character's idea of America is different in the film, and so yeah, that for me is, I guess, the answer.
I guess you had a question over there. Lady?
Hi, Jada Yuan from the Washington Post, and Ari, I'm from Santa Fe also. So this is for the actors, just to get them in on the conversation, especially Pedro and Joaquin. I've read some reviews that sort of talk about feeling like this is a horror story about how America devolved into a partisan political hellscape. And I'm just curious, why did you feel so strongly about making the movie? And does it feel different to have made it about a time in Trump's first administration and now be releasing it in his second?
You want me to go first?
You can do the whole thing.
Joaquin and I feel I love what Ari said in terms of feeling completely untethered from like a collective truth, I guess, or function really. And I got to see the movie for the first time last night, and it felt like the movie that I read and had to be a part of, as finessed, as beautifully finessed as it has been between then and now. And I was thinking that I'm so used to kind of lenses on US culture from the outside, because there's so many ways to view issues of politics, sociology, our very, very complex culture. And with Ari's movie, it felt like the first time that we had like a mole, like a whistleblower almost, you know, someone from the inside being like, this is what's happening. And that was really, really powerful to me. And I don't think I understood that until I saw it. When I read it, I just knew that it was all kind of courage and speaking of a world that no longer has a sense of common truth. It felt like so truthful to me in every perspective, all of its nuances and all of its big ideas. They just seemed so truthful to me. And Joaquin feels the same.
Thanks to both of you. We got a question in the center.
Hi, good morning, Maria Guerra, Quinótico, Spain. This is a question for Mr. Pascal. Well, sorry, since you are speaking now. So, well, congratulations on this shocking, heartbreaking comedy on America. Mr. Pascal, I'd like you to, I wonder what you think about, are you worried about these millions of Latin migrants in the shadows living in America? And do you fear that America will become an absolutely closed country to the world? Thank you.
I mean, it's obviously very scary for an actor who participated in a movie to sort of speak to issues like this. It's far too intimidating of a question for me to really address. I'm not informed enough. I want people to be safe and to be protected, and I want very much to live on the right side of history. And I'm an immigrant. My parents are refugees from Chile. I myself was a refugee. We fled a dictatorship, and I was privileged enough to grow up in the U.S. And after asylum in Denmark, and if it weren't for that, I don't know what would have happened to us. And so I stand by those protections always. I'm too afraid of your question. I hardly remember what it was.
All right, I think.
Hey, my name is Aras Kiribayev, a film critic from Kazakhstan, representing 98 Magazine and Freedom Media. My question goes to Emily Stone, and actually, before asking the question, I would like to thank you for quite literally changing my life. just a year ago, we were at the very same press room where I addressed you by your real name, Emily.
Yes.
Yeah. And the video
Very good to see you.
So likewise. And the video of this and your kind and warm response, honestly, it went viral in the Western media and obviously in my country, Kazakhstan. And it has skyrocketed my career immediately. It has changed my personal life immediately. And now
Just for saying Emily?
Yeah, literally for saying one word. Yeah.
Wow.
And now I can be once again here in much better conditions. One of the 2 film critics from Kazakhstan, again talking to you. This is a great pleasure, and just for you to know, I'm eternally grateful. And everybody in Kazakhstan, a lot of people now refer to you as Emily Stone. Yes, I do have a question. I'm sorry for this. Yeah. About Eddington, while working on this movie, you have a magnificent multidimensional character in it, and I was so curious, what drew you to play this character, and what was the crafting process when you were working on the character of Louise? Thanks you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was incredibly sweet, and I'm so happy that a name could do that. It was when Ari sent me the script, I think he's one of the greatest writers that we have, filmmakers as well, but just getting to read his writing is an incredible experience. And so he and I sat and actually talked about Louise, about the character for quite a while, and sort of arrived at the word ghost, because she is a bit of a ghost in her own life at that point. There's so much that she's been through. There's clearly trauma, even though it's not completely spelled out. There's a lot that she's obviously bringing to it. And her marriage to Joe is in a precarious space for her, you know, being in this lockdown with her mother there, who's really reading a lot of things, and her mind is being filled with, you know, so much. And so I thought of her as a ghost and then a specter over Joe's life as he's, you know, making these decisions. You know, I won't spoil, I guess. Can we spoil here?
No, let's not do that.
You guys hear about Pedro in The Last of Us? Man.
Still got it.
But it was a really interesting challenge, and something I had never really gotten to access before. And then, you know, to be there with Ari and with Joaquin and Austin and everybody, it was a really kind of beautiful and heartbreaking character to find.
All right, we got a question, I think, over there. Yeah, you. Yeah.
Rebecca Olsen from One Press TV, Sweden. And I've got a question for Joaquin Phoenix. What was it like playing a character in a satirical film set during COVID-19, and how did it resonate with your own personal experience?
What was the first part?
Oh, sorry. What was it like playing a character in a satirical film set during COVID-19, and how did it resonate with your personal experience?
I think my personal experience felt very different than Joe's experience, for sure. What if it didn't? But yeah, it was great to make this film and with Ari, and about someone who desperately is seeking validation and connection, and during a time in which we were all in lockdown and we were physically separated from each other, and so we sought connection through our online presence, and it just exacerbated the problem. And so we see this guy who I think is really, for me, I have a lot of love for the character. I have a feeling of warmth for him, and to see him kind of spiral out throughout the course of the film was it's just an interesting character for me to play, I thought.
All right, madame.
Bonjour. Hello, Florencia Angeles from W Radio in Colombia, Mexico. Question for Pedro, Joaquin, and Emma. We leave everybody the fake news and the lockdown, and the lockdown, sorry. And I would like to know if there any personal experience during this period for you, personal period for you, and that you brought to mind to prepare your character in this movie? Thank you so much.
Who wants to start?
I'll start. Yeah, I was afraid to go back. Really, I was isolated and in relationship to my algorithm, and feeling, I think, very similarly to Ari, at least. After I read his script, I felt like I really I felt like he wrote something that were all of my worst fears, and realized as far as what that lockdown experience was and what it promised to kind of deliver in all of its sort of like fracturing of an already fractured society, but still kind of like what Ari had said was that this building towards an untethered sense of reality, and then finally going into a chapter that becomes a point of no return in a way, like there's no going back. I definitely was overwhelmed by that fear, and it's lovely to have it confirmed by Ari. You were right.
Anybody else on that?
I mean, I think that was beautifully said, and I feel the same way. The only additional thing that scared me a little bit in the algorithm system was looking into some of the things that are, in this film that hadn't been in my algorithm, unfortunately added them to my algorithm, because once you start Googling it, you start seeing more and more things that really, so it's a real rabbit hole very quickly. So unfortunately, I'm still getting fed some crazy shit from here, but yeah.
I'm good.
Ari, since we are on this, during the lockdown, probably a lot of people here watched a lot of movie at home, and the only movie that you make reference to is Young Lincoln when they're watching at the end. Is it the most satirical point that you wanted to make? This is America, and this is America. Is that what that means?
The reference to Young Mr. Lincoln? Well, I love that movie, and it's like a very idyllic portrait of I guess it's a very idyllic dream of America, and I think this film is in many ways about the dream versus the reality, and I would say. Sorry, I'm finding answers because I haven't spoken about this movie yet. One thing that was really on my mind was history, American history, and the way that I think we're all haunted by that, and the way that we use history to kind of shore up what our personal beliefs are. Opening night, there was a lot of mention of Nietzsche here, and so since I wasn't pretentious enough for you on set, but it made me think of what Nietzsche said about an age oversaturated with history, and how that leads to this dangerous mood of irony in regard to itself, and how that leads to this I think to this detached spectatorialism as opposed to actual engagement, and I don't know, so anyway. Well, Jesus, I regret it.
Okay, we got a question over there.
Hi, I'm Kat from Serbia. This is a question for everybody. So it's talking about rabbit holes and algorithms and stuff that happened in 2020, because we're talking about like crypto bros and cult leaders in the movie as well. I want to know, during the lockdown, what's like the weirdest rabbit hole you went down, or like a quirk you picked up, like sourdough bread or tarot cards, or like weird for you pages on TikTok? That's it.
Who wants to answer it?
Pedro?
I started to watch. The only thing I could watch, I remember, for a period, because to protect myself, I guess, from the algorithm, for some reason, I started to watch everything that Lara Flynn Boyle was in. I started, and so then there were like several seasons of like David E. Kelly's The Practice. And it was all on Hulu, and I just watched that. And reality shows about like airports. I think there was like old A&E, like people just losing their shit at the airport, or trying to like move their house in boxes, but using Southwest Airlines instead of a shipping company and stuff like that. I was educating myself.
Austin, how was your sourdough bread?
Jeez, I mean, I was in Australia working on Elvis, so all I was thinking about was that at the time. I'm trying to think of anything that wasn't that. I wish that I was watching Southwest Airlines moving videos. Yeah, anybody else?
Okay. We go to the next one then. We are over there.
Here, hi. I'm Thomas for French Canadian TV, TVA Nouvelle. I would like to ask you, Ari, and maybe the rest of the group, how do you see the future of America? Do you think that there is nothing left that civil war waiting for America?
Okay.
I don't speak English.
No hablo English.
I don't know. I think we're on a dangerous road, and I feel like we're living through an experiment that is going. It's gone wrong. It's not going well, and it feels like there's no way out of it. But that's also because the power, that's. And by the way, what I said about what mass liberal democracies have always had, right, which is we all have had this fundamental agreement about what is real, like we might disagree, but we're all agreeing about what we're arguing about. That's over. But by the way, like that system was also coming from power, and so it's not as though suddenly there's like this bad bad power out there. It's always been there, but right now it's chaos, and yeah, it feels like we're living in an experiment that probably should be like stopped or paused because it's not working. But it's clear that nobody's actually interested in stopping it. I don't know. I think people feel very powerless and very fearful, and I think that part of being in your bubble, right? Part of being in whatever your whatever bubble of certainty you're in, what the film is about for me is about what happens when people who are so isolated and are living in their own realities, what happens when they come into conflict with each other, and how, when they start bumping up against each other, a new logic is created. And out of that, people start amplifying each other's fears and paranoias, and that's dangerous. And we'll see where this goes. I really hope that that it's curbed.
All right, we got a question
Hi, good morning. My name is Chaz Ebert. I'm from RogerEbert.com. And thank you for this movie. I have to tell you, the day after our November elections, I took to my bed I had a day of mourning. I am so worried about our democracy. I'm so worried about just I have the same fear that you have. My question for you, and I hate to ask this question because I don't even want to put it out there, but I have a film festival, Ebertfest Film Festival, and we had some of our guests from other countries who were afraid to come to America. Even a guest from Canada was afraid to come because the universities in Canada sent out messages to the professors about crossing the border from Canada to America. This is unacceptable to me. Do any of you fear, any of you who have to go back to America, fear having anything put on in your dossier because of the brave movies that you make?
Who wants to take this one?
I think fear is the way that they win, for one. And so keep telling the stories and keep expressing yourself and keep fighting to be who you are. And I don't know, fuck the people that try to make you scared, you know, and fight back. And this is a perfect way to do so in telling stories and don't let them win. Don't let them win.
Michael, you seem to be sharing his opinion.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with Pedro. I like the conviction in his voice, and yeah, man, I believe in what he's saying. So, yeah.
The truth is, I'm scared of everything, all the time. So yeah, I mean, the tongue is sort of in the cheek in that answer, but it's also, I mean, yeah, it's also true.
All right, over there.
Good morning, Corrado Monina for Cinematography and il blog di Corrado Monina. I have one question for Emma Stone and one question for Ari Aster. First for Emma Stone.
Normally, but hey.
Please. First for Emma Stone, as an actress, you're following a path of great artistic depth, working on films with strong author voices. What was it like collaborating with Ari Aster in that sense? And for Ari Aster, how much are you inspired by a director like Fellini, not only for his immense creative freedom, but also for the way he broke free from classical narrative structures? Thank you.
It was amazing to work with Ari. I think that as an actor, or at least I believe, maybe just for me specifically, there's only a limited amount of time, you know, in your ability to really make choices, creative choices of who you'd like to work. Not that I would get to work with anybody that I would think of. They'd have to want that too. But if you have the opportunity to work with a filmmaker that you deeply admire and respect and feel challenged by, and you know, whose stories have affected you, if you have that opportunity and you're allowed to make that choice, you have the great good fortune of that limited time to make that choice, then I can't imagine not making a choice like that. And so Ari, I've admired for so long, and getting the opportunity to do that with him was a real honor and a gift. Yeah.
Ari, Fellini?
Well, I love Fellini. I was actually thinking about Fellini a lot on my last film, but the question is about how, like, what I get from Fellini. Is that right? Like, what? Well, the humor, and I guess where he might have like really been helpful to me here is the way that he populates his films with eccentrics and characters, and no matter how many people are in a frame, like none of them are wasted. He loves people. He loves faces. And even just as a director working with blocking and camera, I go back to 8.5 specifically all the time, just for the dance between the actors and the camera. It's so fluid and so free. So he's one of the filmmakers that I go to a lot as sort of a liberating influence, just remind myself that you can do anything, and that he's so idiosyncratic and so personal and so funny, and his films are alive. I mean, that's really for me, that's what I look for, is this a living thing? I want movies to be alive, and Fellini was amazing. He created universes,
We got a question over there.
Dylan Fernando, Films Fatale, Canada. This is directed to all of you. By the end of the film, do you believe there's any semblance of hope for the characters?
Wants to talk about hope.
Oh, come on. Just for your character, is there hope?
Is there hope for no spoilers in this? There's always hope. Well, I just made Joaquin throw up in his mouth.
I'm looking desperately for hope, and I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. We need to re-engage with each other. That's the only hope. That's the only hope. I don't know. I think.
All right, we got a question over there.
Hi, Driege from Brazil and Media Ninja. My question is for Michael. As a black person watching the movie last night, seeing Black Lives Matters come up, it made me laugh the many times as white people try to take part of something that they don't need to take part of. So my question is to ask you about your experience through all of this, because I kept thinking what Michael is feeling, what is he's feeling through this, what this scene is making him feel. So I just want to know, how did it feel for you to see Black Lives Matter there, and how do you feel about it?
Thank you for your amazing question. The inevitable. I feel like it was difficult, to be completely honest, but what was great was the collaborativeness between me, Ari, and the rest of the cast in all of my scenes. Everything was spoken about, everything was respectful. We got to just have conversation, and for me, it just makes me feel comfortable. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If I felt like man just getting thrown into the deep end and not having to really have conversations about how I feel or what I think the character feels like, then there would be a problem. But Ari never made me feel that way. Joaquin never made me feel that way. And we tried so many different options in many scenes and stuff like that, and we just got to play. And that was what was beautiful about being in this movie. We just got to have fun. But obviously, it's going to be difficult, I'm trying to say. It's always difficult when you're the only black person in a cast or something like that. But unfortunately, this is what it is. But we're telling these stories, and being part of these stories is only going to make the opportunities better for the people that are coming after me. And, I'm trying to say, that's what it's about. Love.
We are going right at the end over there.
Hi guys, my question is for Ari, Tom Page, CNN. Thanks for including us in the picture. My question is about media literacy. You've created quite a Rorschach test here. I'm already seeing that it's proving pretty divisive along political lines online. And some of the worst people on the internet are saying, not only does this film speak to them, it speaks for them. And I would love for you to maybe clear that up a little.
Well, I very deliberately have been avoiding whatever the discourse is about the film, so I don't even know what you're talking about. And I don't know. I mean, I wanted to paint a picture of the society that we're now living in. And I didn't want to, attach myself to one ideology or one story or one belief system because it's too narrow. That's not the point, And so, the film is designed to be ambiguous in certain ways. And it's really, it's less about, it's a movie about the environment that we're living in. Like, that's what this thing is. So, I don't know. I'll probably dip my head into the swamp and see what the fuck's going on. And then I'll be upset or something. I don't know. But I haven't done it yet. I don't know. Is that, yeah.
All right, this is all the time. We have Madame, Messieurs, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Viva Chile.